North Bend High School's first para-athlete swimmer swam away with the silver medal at the 2022 5A Championships in Beaverton. Freshman Elisabeth Woodruff, who was born without her right arm, shattered her district meet time to swim 45.22 in the 50-yard free. Coming from a family of swimmers, Woodruff followed a nudge from her sister Abby.
My sister encouraged me to join club swim and then the high school swim team. I wasn't really doing any PE or something, so then it's exercise, and also it's really fun. And it feels good when you're practicing because then you're getting a workout in it and you know that you're improving.
A challenge learning to swim. Woodruff just learned to swim 9 months ago. She says the hardest part was figuring out how to breathe.
Someone with two arms, usually how they breathe is just seamless with them bringing up their arm and breathing with that. But for me, I kind of have to put extra effort to throw me on my side so I can get enough air.
Mom Amy Woodruff says she and her husband had high expectations for Elisabeth.
When we taught her to ride a bike, we just taught her to ride a bike. And she can skateboard and do all sorts of things. And so we've always just tried to teach her that she's like everybody else. It's just she might do things a little differently.
North Bend's assistant swim coach Katie Parrott says Elisabeth is always willing to try.
She was a little nervous when she started practice because we had 64 kids in the pool at the same time, and so for her it was a little intimidating. But by the end of the season, she was out racing some of the kids she'd been swimming with all year.
And while she loves hanging with friends, swimming is her truest happy place.
So it just takes away the stress, when you put your head underwater, because then you can't really hear anything.
Elisabeth hopes to do the 100 backstroke in next year's state meet.
Businesses expect a rush of customers once masks are no longer required. However, others say that the change brings new headaches. K2's Megan Allison joins us live outside the Fate Beauty Society in Northeast Portland tonight. And Megan, what are you hearing from the owner of that salon?
Well, Catherine, she says they've made a lot of changes over the last 2 years, namely spacing out stylists and cutting down capacity. Staff tell me if they want to return to the original layout, that's going to take a lot of time and money, and it's a hurdle they're not quite prepared for.
Paige Ashcroft says her salon is currently operating at about 65% capacity. She'd like to go back to 100%, but tells us that would take funding she just doesn't have right now.
I took our waiting area and put in a new retail area. So that now means that I have to put in a new waiting area or just make the decision on if we'll ever have one again. So it's really just a financial burden and a time thing that we're unsure about.
Bolton Minister owns 5440 Brewing in Washougal. He plans to keep some pandemic changes to help give customers peace of mind.
The plexiglass is going to stay up. We're not taking these barriers down, The spacing that we did set up originally for back here was definitely COVID dining. And I think people are very comfortable with it, and that'll all stay.
The two businesses will have different approaches to masking. At the salon, stylists plan to stay masked for the time being. Over at this brewery, the owner says it's optional for all staff and customers.
Yeah, we're talking about people who maybe can't afford to buy a window air conditioner like this one. People who live in a complex where the manager doesn't allow it or won't put that in themselves. But that won't be the case the next time if and when a heat wave hits us.
So it's not only an issue of comfort or convenience. It's really, as we learned from the heat wave, it's an issue of life or death.
Last summer's heat wave killed more than 100 people in Oregon. The new bill that got the final okay from the legislature on Friday will limit restrictions that landlords and homeowners associations can put on portable cooling devices. The executive director of the Community Alliance of Tenants says it's about time.
Tenants especially don't have the same kind of control over the environment of their home as many people might have. So they might not be able to control the temperature even because it's controlled centrally by the building. They may not have the ability to open a window if it gets too hot. They may not have an air conditioner to control the temperature in their home.
Northwest climatologists aren't expecting another heat wave like last year's, about a 5% chance of that, but they were ahead of the last one.
The short-term predictions for that heat wave were excellent. 4 or 5 days ahead of time, there were actual warnings out there and so forth, and there were indications, strong indications even prior to that.
Now the state hopes to be ahead of the game, too. The bill sets aside millions for cooling centers and systems and air conditioners, money that will be available right away, and more changes come later. Rental units built after April 1st, 2024 will have to have cooling in at least one room. And tenants will still face some restrictions. They will have to follow building codes and product standards, and they'll be held liable for any damages caused by the devices that they put in.